What's that?
All right.
Yeah.
Grizz up.
He gave me the nod.
We need a thumbs up, Grizz. Okay.
There it is. Got a geriatric running the geriatric tech guy.
Well, we got Grizz on the computer. We was talking about him this morning. He's the elder in here. You know, it's kind of nice to have him around to give the yay or nay on all these discussions that we have.
Yeah.
He's doing good.
You know, he is. He's doing good.
I want to talk real quick about back when you was in middle school and your nipples inverted.
Yeah, I was fat when I was in middle school. Yeah. You know how when kids get fat, their nipples flop over?
Prolapse.
Well, you said they turned inverted.
Inside.
Now you're saying flop over.
Yeah. You seen fat people, like fat kids especially. Yeah, I was fat in middle school, man. That was my fat stage. That's when I was a baseball player.
And you played that tuba.
You swam with your shirt on.
Did I play tuba? I did play tuba in middle school. Sure did.
Yeah, I remember you toting that joker around.
Yeah, that was my fat stage. We've all been there, right? Some people just
I don't
stay
know
there.
that I've ever been that.
You had cheese dust on your fingertips. I've never been fat either. Well, I mean, I've been a little soft, you know, kind of skinny fat.
Yeah.
But I've never been real overweight.
Yeah, well, you know, me and Corn have been there. So
Still there, boy.
no, you slimmed up, Corn. You pretty darn slim now. You look like a real human. You notice that when you're walking behind Cornbread in the woods and you look up and you're like, dang, that looks like a human.
Yeah, used to you would get confused about what
before.
Just look like a blob, man.
Mongoloid.
Just look like a blob walking down through there.
Night.
a moving
Yeah,
stump.
you got a lot of shape to you now, man.
Dang.
You got shape to you.
Shape.
Which, by the way, while we're on the subject of Cornbread, I guess we should talk about how he's failed today. Failed. He had one job this morning, guys. Cornbread had one responsibility this morning,
Bacon.
and that was to make breakfast for the team. So we're out in the yard filming some YouTube videos. Corn went in there
Cookie.
in the air condition. We're out slaving in that hot, stinking field.
You're the one that wanted me to cook breakfast.
No, we said, who wants to cook bread? He said, me.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a dang lie.
We did our run this morning, and I had to yell at him. I had to yell at Cornbread right off the rip this morning on the run, didn't I? Because I knowed what he was going to do. Because, you know, Corn, he don't run the same pace as me and Chili run. So what he does when we do these runs,
Duh.
when we do these runs, we get out ahead of him, and then he just sandbags it back there. You know, I know what he's doing. He's like, well, I'm just gonna walk it in. So I had to yell at him right off the rip this morning. I said, look, Cornbread, you got to get back and cook this dang breakfast now. Put out on this run, okay? Just because I'm not watching you doesn't mean you can sandbag.
That's a load of bull crap.
So I had to motivate him right off the rip. He did do well on the run. He wasn't far behind us. And
No, he ran 400 meters in 2 seconds.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Some type of glitch.
what kind of watch do you wear, Corn? What is that?
Apple Watch.
That's an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Okay. We get back. All right. Corn goes in there in the air condition. He's cooking breakfast, you know, like a woman. We're out in the yard slaving over a YouTube video. Chili disappears. Now, let's talk about Chili while we're here.
I went to go
because
crap.
we start the YouTube video, and Chili says, I have to go poo. He leaves. And he doesn't show back up again until breakfast is ready.
It comes out.
I thought that was a little odd. Like, oh, wow, you know, you took the entire time to doo-doo. We've been out here filming.
Most of the time. I crapped for a while, and then me and Corn got to talking about, about how that's supposed to be what women do. Also, apparently, I crapped in the toilet that I'm not supposed to at your house.
Yeah, there's remnants in there when I went to pee.
Yeah, Corn told me when I crapped in that hallway bathroom, he said, Brooke told me not to crap in there
No, if you're a guest, you can crap in there.
Well, I'm a guest.
Yeah.
That's
I can't crap in that
Well, she said
bathroom.
we couldn't either.
Yeah, she told me to use that middling.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's the one I use.
Somebody's been wearing that thing out. So
Hey, that joker's rough, boy.
well,
I used that middling twice today.
I use the forbidden guest toilet.
I
Yeah,
crap
y'all
where I
can
want
use
to.
that. That's the guest toilet.
I
Yeah.
crap in the floor if
Me
I
too.
want to.
Right on
Brooke
the seat.
makes some rules, don't she?
I'm not a buy. I'm tired of playing by all these games. I'm sick of playing these games.
What kind of games?
But,
Games.
hold on. We're not there yet. Because I walk in after slaving over these videos and Chili comes out, rings the breakfast bell. We walk inside and I get in the garage and it smells like somebody has cooked a mess of flapjacks. And I thought,
Like Saskatchewan.
all right, well, that gone cornbread. He went out.
Canadian gold, son.
He went over the top. That joker has not only made bacon, eggs, toast, but he has cooked doesn't mess up pancakes. And I walk up in there, there ain't no pancakes. This joker has gotten a pack of bacon that is drenched in some sort of maple flavoring. And the whole house smelled like a maple syrup.
He said, it said real wood on it.
Yeah.
Well, did it not?
But look, I confront him about buying maple bacon, which is terrible, by the way.
I thought it was good.
It's unedible, nearly. I fed most of mine to my dog. Okay, it's unedible. And I confront him about it, and he tries to deny it. It's like the whole house smells like maple. How can you deny it?
That's real wood smell.
So I had to go dig through the trash, find the pack, and brought it out. And sure, it said real wood with maple flavoring.
Yeah, I didn't
right.
see the maple part.
It's terrible. It was terrible.
It was
Corn.
good to me.
You did good on the eggs, though. But
Well, not even mention he wasn't done like Chili said he was when we got in there. He still had another batch
he
of
got
eggs
a whole
to
nother
cook.
pan of eggs to cook.
Yeah, he was done with the first half. Yeah,
So
he did them in stages. You know why they were better? Is he did them in stages. You can't put too many eggs in a pan at one time.
No,
yeah,
can't.
you're right.
Really, if you try to do 20 eggs at once,
You got to do it in chapters.
Is that how many you cooked? 20?
18?
whatever.
16.
I told you to cook.
I cooked 16.
I told you to cook 16.
He cooked however many you told him to cook. That's how many.
16.
Yeah, that's what I. Yeah,
16.
4 eggs apiece. All right. So tighten up on that, all right, Bubba.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
Y'all
more
got
of
to quit being so dang picky.
No more of that maple
Blake
bacon.
don't like applewood.
No,
We
get
just want
hardwood
bacon.
smoked bacon.
The
Just
last time
bacon.
I grabbed apple, wait, look,
You're just closing your eyes and like whatever you get.
that Wright Brothers bacon is the only kind y'all want to eat. And sometimes there's a pile of apple wood and you can't find no real wood, and sometimes they ain't real wood, it's hickory wood.
Where are you shopping at?
Angles.
That's the problem. You're shopping smack in the middle of the most poverty-stricken area.
That
in
store
the,
also
in
doesn't
the
even
state.
exist.
You know they send everything, that grocery store in Somerville, they send all the scraps up there that all the grocery stores, the stuff that expires out of the grocery stores here in Rome, they truck it up there and stock the shelves
I
in
would
that
believe
grocery
that
store in
because no
Somerville.
joke, it looks like they just dump the bacon in the bacon slot. Just pick a tub up and just dump it in there.
That's how Angles does it.
Yeah, you got to sift through it.
Yeah, you got to start coming down to Rome to get that.
I'm not
breakfast
driving
stuff, Bubba.
to Rome and then back to your house. That's ridiculous.
Well,
Food liner.
Go to Walmart.
y'all wanted to talk about these women, right? You know, that was definitely what was on my mind immediately this morning. Yeah, so
We wanted you to talk about them.
I'm reading a book right now. I think it's called like Black Autumn or something, and it's a fiction book about the collapse of America. Stock market falls. A nuke goes off in Saudi Arabia, and then another nuke goes off the coast of California, in a boat, like a dirty bomb, and basically the power starts going out. It's a really awesome book, man. It's if you could imagine the collapse in this within, you know, with this scenario, like they cover every detail you could ever imagine and how that could potentially play out. But one of the details it covers in there is the story of a husband and a wife. It's like a story in the story, right? And it talks about how the wife has never really needed her husband for anything because of the way society is, you know? We have grocery stores, women, you know, women's rights activists, they get all the jobs. The women get all the jobs these days. A man can't hardly get a job. You make more money as a woman. It's all fake, right? And the woman doesn't really need the man like she would in a more natural human environment. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is that's woven into this book, and how this woman looks at her husband in the midst of all this collapse, and the husband's former military, and he's all kitted out, and he's there to protect the family, and she's like, whoa, like I actually need him. Like he's doing, this is what a man, okay, this is my first realization I've ever had of what the importance of a man is. Like right now, you know, what's the importance of a man? You know, we bring you flowers, take you to the tulip field, you know.
Crap in the right toilet.
You know, make sure you crap in the right toilet, obey these rules, make me happy. When it's like, nah, you don't understand.
You're sick of the games.
It's all a game. It's all a game, man. Look, the woman has special gifts. She's made in a special way to serve a special role, but that role ain't to tell the man what to do. All right? Look, man.
And they just think they can do it.
They just think they can make all these silly rules, right?
Like you ain't gonna tell me what toilet I'm gonna crap in.
Yeah. Or tell me where I can hunt.
Yeah.
Or tell me when I can hunt. Or tell me what I can kill and can't kill.
Yeah.
Or tell me this, you know, or that. No.
Well, you're over there like grinning, Corn. What's the deal?
I'm following along, bud.
No, stop that.
I'm
You
following
took
along.
issue with something. What was it?
No, I ain't took issue with nothing.
I'm making you comment.
Yeah, I ain't took issue.
No,
with
you're
nothing.
gonna comment. What do you think? Women need to stop, don't they?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I ain't got nothing
You've
to add
always
to
been
it.
that way, ain't you?
Yeah. Mess around and get the pimp hand.
Beatrice, listen to this today.
But you know, half the reason things are the way they are is because the men that are out here today couldn't even fill the role that they're supposed to fill, even if they had to.
They'd fill a woman's role just fine.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Let's say all this collapses, 90% of you wives out there, they're gonna look at the husband in the midst of the collapse, and they're gonna say, "Holy crap, he ain't good for nothing."
Nothing but getting vulnerable.
Yeah. He ain't got. They didn't teach you nothing at your men's group, man. He ain't good for nothing. That's what would happen most of the time. You know, it's the man's responsibility to know how to provide, to know how to kill, to know how to hunt, to know how to protect, to know how to fight. That's all the stuff that the man should be able to do. All right? And a lot of y'all listen to this, you ask yourself, do I know how to clean a squirrel? Do I know how to skin a deer? Can I shoot? Can I fight? Can I defend my family? Can I do the things that I was created to do as a man if I actually had to do it? You be honest with yourself. Nah. You ain't never gutted or skinned a squirrel. You ain't never killed nothing. You ain't never fought nobody. You ain't never done nothing. But sit back there on your little computer, right? You freaking turd, man. That's half the reason these women try to running all over everybody, because some of them about have to. You know, these women, they gotta feel all the. You know, I hear men all the time complaining about their women not having a job, not working. What's wrong with you, man? That ain't her responsibility to have to stinking work. That's your responsibility. To get out there and get after it, man. What the crap's wrong with you? Now, I understand. If you're the one doing all the work, you women ought not just be sitting at home doing nothing. You know, she ought to be raising kids. She ought to be, you know, taking care of the home, doing the things.
Pots and pans.
You know, doing the things that she's good at. You know, she ought to. You know, her not working ain't an excuse for her to go shopping all day, okay? But I hear husbands all the time complaining that their wives don't work. What the crap? What? She ain't supposed to work. She got other things she was created to do at home and out in the world, right? Taking care of people, man. You need to go work, you freaking turd.
What do you say when women ask what time it is, Corn?
To get on them pots and pans.
There's a clock on the stove.
Look, if your wife wants to work, let her work. Okay?
But she can't be a UFC fighter. You can't let her be a UFC fighter.
If you say so.
Women need not fight.
If she wants to work, let her work. But look, man.
Nah, don't do nothing professional.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling y'all.
Strictly recreation.
This is just a false. This is a facade of a world.
So if they want to work, you ought to let them work.
No, Corn told me the other day, he said they should not work.
Or should you lead them into the home
I'm
job?
going to tell you, they'd be happier.
If they worked?
No, if they didn't work and they actually did what God created them uniquely to do.
Corn told me it's unbecoming of a woman if she plays tennis.
That's what you allowed,
That
Bub.
was a direct quote.
So we got to get the fact from the elder on this.
That's true.
We got to get the thumbs up or thumbs down for the elder on this. Elder Paris James.
James.
Should women work or not? Not okay. James says women should not work. Paris James, all right, he agrees with us on that.
He's retiring mom too this year.
Any other questions to clear that up on with Paris James?
I don't think so.
All right, I got one. Paris James, should we listen to women as they make their silly rules for us men to follow? Double thumbs down. Double thumbs down. We haven't got that on the show yet.
That's a strong feeling.
Yeah.
Do not listen to women when they tell you things that you can do, when you can go hunting, you know, all this stuff, right?
What's this episode titled?
Tariffs on women.
So,
Tariffs, boy. You about to have to pay up.
I have another question for y'all that I want to talk about on a different note here. How do y'all deal with stress in life? What are some ways that y'all have dealt with stress in life? Just wanted to throw some techniques out there for the listeners, and while you guys think about it, I'll give a few tips for my own stress that I've experienced throughout my life. And by the way, this leads me to my first tip. One of the best ways to deal with stress is to accept the fact that life is going to be stressful. The more that you are trying to seek this spot in life where you just feel good all the time, the more you imagine that is a possibility to just get to a place where you don't have to worry, you don't have to feel anxiety, you don't have to feel stress, you just feel good all the time. The more you think that is a possibility, the more miserable you're going to be. I think the first piece of advice I have, and this is advice to myself also, is to accept the fact that life is supposed to be stressful, right? If you're growing, if you're pushing, if you're trying to do, what you're called to do in life, it's supposed to be stressful. Blake likes to make fun of me a lot because I hate cold water, right? And he'll tell me every time I get in the cold water, he says, just quit fighting against it, Chad. Just quit fighting. Just let it pass through you, right? Because that was something I used to talk about, how when they put you in that cold water in buds, the more you fought against the fact that you were freezing cold, the more you thought about it, the more you let it get in your head, and the more you dwelled on it as you was laying in that cold water, the worse it got. But if you could just get to the point where you said, okay, this is my reality right now. Yep, it's cold. And that's it. The easier it was to stay there, right? It was still cold, but easier it was to stay there. I feel like it's the same way for me with stress, right? So that's my first piece of advice is accept the fact that life is stressful for everybody. And there's no such thing as this myth of homeostasis and always being happy, and all the stuff you hear on the podcast these days on how you can follow the right protocol and take the right supplements and do the right drugs and get the right sleep and eat the right food and all, to feel good all the time. Bunch of freaking bull crap. Ain't happening. Don't believe that. All right? The second thing that I realized is what actually brought this topic up in my mind, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys, is I've actually been breaking one of my own rules and not even realizing it, right? And it goes kind of along the lines of staying present in life. What I've been realizing kind of about myself is I've been operating in a way that I haven't really been able to enjoy anything in the moment or rest in the moment because I'm thinking about what's the next thing, right? Maybe I'm just holding it in my mind, right? And so, I go throughout my day and it's like, if I have a little window of rest, I haven't really been utilizing that to maybe just sit down and relax for a minute because I know there's something else that day. It's really easy for me to have a nice, relaxing, stress-free day when I have nothing on the calendar. But if I have some things on the calendar spread throughout the day, it's really difficult for me to enjoy anything because I've been thinking about the next thing. And maybe that's just because, I have a lot of things coming up, especially this coming month, a lot of back-to-back-to-back things. So this month for me, as I work through these things back-to-back-to-back, my goal is to try to really enjoy each one of those while I'm there in that moment doing that thing and not hold the tension of the next thing that's coming in my mind and allow that to kind of rob me of the experience that I'm in, if that makes sense. So, and then the third one for me would be animals. I think animals do play a role in helping relieve stress in my life. They just bring a lot of joy. And anything from my goats to the dogs to the donkeys, they just live in a different reality than we live in. And it's, I know that's not for everybody, but it's comforting to me to be around them. And you always get a good laugh out of something that they do. So how about you guys? How have y'all handled stress in the past or even now on a day-to-day? Blake, you're never stressed. I was thinking about you when at least you don't ever show it, which is crazy because you struggled with anxiety for that's part of your story.
Yeah.
But as I was thinking about my own self and stress and stuff, I was like, man, here lately, you just roll on, man. You just boom, boom, boom. You got kids. You're doing all this stuff. Good night. I look at your life. I'm like, whew, it'd be rough, son.
Yeah, I don't think of, when you ask how do you deal with it, I don't really have any certain things that I do, but maybe it's because the Lord took that from me in a miraculous way early on as a kid, and I haven't struggled with it really much since. I mean, there are things that will stress me out, but usually just the things that everybody say, like exercise, like you can be stressed about something, I can go for a run and then come back home and be a totally different person.
It does help.
But, and another thing for me too is getting around other people outside of the situation or whatever's stressing you out. Not like running from it, but like, I could be stressed about something at home or with the kids or whatever, and then come to work and, be around all of us outside of it and come home and it's like, it's not even bothering me anymore. So those couple things came to mind to help. But probably the big thing is the first thing you said. It's just like, it's just life. Like when you identify it as stress, then you think, all right, what do I do about this?
How do I get rid of it?
Yeah, how do I get rid of it? But in the end, I mean, I've never really thought of it like, oh, I'm stressed, I need to go for a run, or I'm stressed, I need to. Sometimes if it accumulates, I might look back at the week and say, well, I haven't really done anything like I hadn't been running or working out this week, or I hadn't gotten out around different people doing different things, and then you might notice that it's more. So those are some things to identify it. But when it's there, to me, it's just like, well, it's here and it'll leave. I'll just work through it and keep living life like I always do. So I don't see it as something I need to get rid of, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, we all experience this in different ways too, because I think obviously what I'm talking about and the tips that I said that, I'm committed to and things that have worked for me, it may not work for you. And we all experience what is stress in different ways. I think it means different things to different people. But I feel like, I've told, I don't know if I've said it on a podcast before, but I really struggle with moving through stress more so than I ever used to as a young man. And I wonder if the reason why I don't hold, it doesn't weigh on me so much. I think that operating at such a high stress level for so long in my life did something to my brain to where it's like it's almost like I maxed myself out for too long. You know what I mean? So I think because of that, I probably do too much to try to avoid stress. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's probably another piece of it for me because, I'm so like,
on guard against them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm sort of like Blake. Like I just really haven't acknowledged that, hey, I have stress. A lot of times I know that I try to create stress for myself when I feel like there's nothing going on. But I would say this, that I heard Jocko a while back say, like when something would come at their team or whatever, they would approach it and he would be like, good.
Yeah, I heard that too, man.
Yeah,
I've shared that before too.
And he said, a guy would keep coming to him, and finally that guy said, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say good, but how is it good? And he's like, well, you're going to learn something as you go through that. And through this recent little bank thing that I had where somebody wrote a fake check, I thought about that and seen that a few times. And when it happened, I thought to myself, good. Mm-hmm. And when I was talking to it with a buddy of mine, he's like, well, why would you say that's good? I said, well, I'm about to learn what kind of system this bank's got for all this money I got in it, if it's going to work or not. But I would say, too, though, back when I was drinking, I thought I was dealing with stress by drinking. So I don't necessarily do this myself, but I think it would be important for somebody who does recognize stress and is dealing with stress, like don't make sure it's healthy, number one, and don't make that thing be even if it's running. Like, don't say, oh my gosh, I got to run to get rid of this stress. You know it.
Yeah, because then ultimately that creates stress when you can't run, when you don't get your run in, right?
Yeah, and because it's sort of tit for tat with the drinking. You know, if you didn't think you could get a beer and you just had to run, I would assume it would probably be the same thing if it ain't healthy, even though it's perceived as something healthy.
I agree. Yeah, I think I've been there before with my fitness for sure. Thinking that if I wasn't able to get my run in or get my workout in, it was just automatically going to be a terrible day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, yeah, that's not a healthy place to be for sure. So, you got anything on this, Chill Man?
No. I mean, I think it's like most things that nothing applies to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hard to even say. I mean, I know you could say what you do to de-stress, but I don't really intentionally do anything to de-stress. I mean, not intentionally, you know, and even if I did, it might help a few people, but you just kind of have to find that for yourself. Like you say you like getting around animals to de-stress you, like that would not work for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really stress me out, but I don't like being around, like that wouldn't work. You know what I mean? I just, like Blake, he likes to aggravate them. I mean, it wouldn't do anything to de-stress me. So I think it's just real individual. Like most things, you have to try to get good at identifying what it is that stresses you, because a lot of things will happen in your life that's out of your control, and that might stress you. You know, if you've got a situation at work that's unresolved, it might be stressing the crap out of you. There ain't a lot you can do.
Right.
But you may be doing something at home to yourself that's totally unnecessary that you could just stop doing, that would alleviate your total stress load. And just cutting out something in your life that's adding stress can help you deal with the stressful thing that you have no control over. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think you're so right about that. And I think that looking at that in like a practical example that I've noticed in my life, when my house is clean, I experience less stress. Now, I don't clean my house to avoid stress. Again, you know, I'm not like that's I because then I would be obsessive and actually stress about my house being unclean. But man, if my gear's like packing for this Ultima Haul trip, for instance, my gear is spread over the four winds because I haven't been, you know, backcountry, you know, backpacking in so long. And it's been so stressful trying to I'm like, this is just a process that should have been 4 hours long that's taken me 3 days because I have to I spend 2 hours trying to find one thing. You know what I mean? And so the practical, you know, what you just said is like, I've experienced that too. If my crap's in order, my space is clean, I feel like I have less stress, you know, or I'm able to deal with the other stressors in life to a higher degree.
Yeah, I think totally different things will stress each individual. You know, getting around animals will stress some people. Getting around animals will help alleviate stress for others. So it's just everybody's so different with that. But I do think that there's some true things about stress that are universal, and that is that everybody has a capacity of what they can kind of handle. You know, like kind of a top end about you tip over much more stress than this right here, and it's just like a catastrophe. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a different level for everybody, but I think everybody does kind of have that level. So I think everybody's probably dealing with some stress that they're putting on themselves totally unnecessarily. They could just cut it out. Literally just, you know, with me in the past obsessing about running, that may mean like stop running for a week. Like, I don't know what it looks like. Just stop doing it. And then, you know, there's maybe something that you're dealing with that you can't handle. So a way to deal with that thing you can't handle is to free up some of that capacity you have. I really think that's kind of the most
good strategy,
the simplest way to actually do it instead of trying to come up with some technique or something, you know.
Yeah, some way to handle the amount of stress that you can't handle. Like,
right.
You know, you got turkey season here, you trying to turkey hunt, you know, and you're trying to work, and you're trying to, you know, I'm trying to do all kind of other things. Eventually, you got to cut one of them out.
Cut something out, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that you can increase your capacity for stressful things in life.
Yeah, it's not a fixed.
Yeah, you can increase that capacity just through, you know, bumping up on that limit, and then it forces you to pull back, right? Mm-hmm. But then you kind of aren't so scared of going back to that limit again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just figured it's a stressful life, so I wanted to touch on that and just have a short conversation about that. And I want to hear what Patreon had for us, too, this week, CB. Do we got a good one this week? We had a good one last week, man.
Well, this one I think is fitting for what you got going on.
You should have had that pulled up already, by the way.
Well, I did, and then y'all pitched a fit to get off your phone, so it went back. This is from Lake Van Loo.
Lake Van Loo.
What kind of training is Chad planning for the Yukon 1000?
Lake Van Loo.
He said,
Well, I guess we should first say what the Yukon 1000 is for the listeners, because not everybody knows. The Yukon 1000 is the longest kayaking race in the world. It's on, well, the name kind of gives it away. It's on the Yukon River, and the Yukon River is in, part of it's in Alaska, and then part of it is in Canada in what they call the Yukon Territory. So it kind of flows from east to west. So we'll start in Canada. We'll paddle down the Yukon River for 1,000 miles, completely unsupported. Now, a lot of people don't understand what unsupported means. That means you cannot even pull off the river in the one town that you go by, which is Dawson City, and resupply. You can't resupply. You can't have any sort of two-way communication. You have to have everything that you have in the boat, everything that you need in the boat, and you can't receive any sort of communication from outside, and you can't communicate with anybody from you to them, right? So it's a lot different than most people think of unsupported as self-supported. Like, whatever we have to get, we can, as long as we get it on our own terms, you know, we're good. But unsupported means truly you're out there with what you have, and that's it. All right? So that's the Yukon 1000 kind of in a nutshell, which, by the way, First Form is doing an entire full feature documentary film on this race, mainly highlighting, I really want the film to highlight my teammate's story, David Charbonnet, because my teammate for this, David Charbonnet, I went through SEAL training with David. He's been on the podcast before a long, long time ago, but he had a skydiving accident shortly after we got to our SEAL team, and he broke his back and has been paralyzed from the waist down since then. But he has continued as just an amazing human being after going through some struggles, obviously. But me and him are doing the race together. You have to do it with a teammate. You can't do it solo. It has to be with one teammate. So we'll be in a tandem boat together. And how am I training for it, man? Well, I took a trip out to San Diego last month, which is where David lives, and David has become a very avid kayaker. And he has a coach out there, Coach Chris, who is an Olympic level kayaker. He's elite, one of the best in the world. And I spent a week in San Diego with David and with his coach, Coach Chris, learning the technique of paddling, which I think is probably the most important part of completing this race, is knowing how to paddle the boat. Paddling seems like common sense. You just move the paddle, right? No. There's a lot more that goes into paddling. An efficient paddle stroke that can be replicated hundreds of thousands of times, over the course of a week. There's a lot more that goes into that than what you think. And so that week in San Diego was critical for me in terms of training for this race. It wasn't about pushing myself physically, building muscle. It wasn't about any of that. It was about technique, and that was it. Nothing else. So I feel squared away on that. That was last month. This coming month, we are doing what we call our final training exercise, which we are going to paddle 140 miles on a river here in Georgia. And we're going to do it unsupported with full kit. Everything that we're going to take out there for the Yukon on race day, we're going to play it like it's real. All right, so we're going to be out there for about 3 days doing that. That's going to force us to we've done the technique. Now we have to work through how do we pack the boat, how do we get on and off the boat, how do we set up camp, all those efficiencies, all those standard operating procedures, right? What's our break interval on the water? Are we going to stop for lunch? Are we going to eat lunch on the boat? Can we cook on the boat? Well, how much water do we need? How much food are we consuming each day with this given activity? Like, there's so much complexity to it. And there's no way to learn this stuff except for just going out there and doing it, right? So the final training exercise will be this month. And most people think, like, what are you doing in terms of training? They're probably asking that question from a fitness perspective, right? So for this particular race, I think the most important thing is core strength, and I've been working some core strength stuff, but that's like the most important specific thing I can tell you. The most important thing for this race is simply just showing up healthy. Like, no pulled muscles, no injuries. You're not not being overweight, but like, this is so much different than running, right? Because running is so much a cardiovascular load, and you need to train all these intervals and stuff. But this race is just it's an all day pace, right? So I'm not worried about my breathing. I'm not worried about building. I'm not sprint paddling. If this was a sprint paddle, I'd be worried about strength, pure power, being able to put power into that paddle. No, I ain't worried about none of that. I just want to be able to I want to take care of myself between now and then, in the sense of stay generally healthy, still do my runs, do a little strength training once a week, eat good food, try to get decent sleep, stay as healthy as I can, and show up with a strong, healthy body, and that's it. If you can do that, you're gonna get through the race if you have all the other mechanics figured out in terms of backcountry skills and navigation and all that skill stuff. I already have all of those skills squared away, which is such a huge advantage for me. I couldn't imagine doing this race if I didn't already have all the backcountry skills like down pat. It's a little different being in the boat, but not that much different. Same type of procedures. The only difference is the boat's carrying the weight. You're not carrying the weight on your back. You just have to learn how to pack it a little different way. All right? If I didn't have I know how to navigate. I know how to use a map and compass. I know how to use a GPS. I know how to use a spot tracker. I know how to set up camp. I know how to filter water. I know how to do all that. Like, that's what we do. That's part of what we do for a living here at 307 Project. So that would be a whole nother piece of training that, if you didn't have that, would would require a lot more work if you were going to take on something like this Yukon 1000. So that's an overview. A week learning technique, staying generally healthy. I've done a few paddles on my own out here, but nothing crazy. Final training exercise, which is going to push us physically and also force us to really work through those systems and work through our gear and how we pack it. Then after that, let's go do the race, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, good question, though, man.
Yeah.
You excited about it?
Yeah, I will be excited about it, I think, when I get there. Because it's even traveling there is a rigmarole, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, there's no direct flight into Whitehorse. It's multiple stops. It's like 17 hours just of flying to get there. You know what I mean? So, I am excited about the final training exercise. That's going to be a blast.
Yeah. I don't know that this really means much, but you seem more excited in subtle ways about this than you have for anything in a long time to me. So that's cool. I mean, I'm glad.
Yeah, that for me is because I'm getting to do it with David. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. I mean, that's what makes this so unique, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, watching him kind of have to, think through the pieces. And this will be the first time he's left his wheelchair, since he's been paralyzed. So we're not bringing a wheelchair with us because it'd be useless out there anyways on a sandbar somewhere, you know what I mean? So we don't plan to bring that with us. That's a big deal, man. Like, I can't even begin to think about what that would feel like, Yeah. So, good question. Thank you, Patreon.
Got some rapid fire news here.
What's going on in the world today?
KZ307 News Source Channel 5. We've got humanoid robots are now running half marathons.
No kidding,
I
man.
I actually saw this. Didn't just read a headline. This was wild.
Tank.
Yeah, you remember that freaking faker? What was his name? Oscar Pistorius?
I think so.
Had rocket ships attached to his legs, and they acted like he was fast. Anyway, a Chinese half marathon. Just your local Chinese race. Your standard, Xinjiang province or whatever. They had a half marathon, and there was a division of these humanoid-like robots that are bipeds, standing up, roughly look like a human, and they could move forward just under their own, in a bipedal fashion, and they finished the race. A lot of them were falling over, and then their handler would run out there on the course and pick it up and get it going again.
So this is kind of like RC car racing, but you're racing
a little bit
robots.
These Chinamen love that crap, dude.
Is that not crazy? That I'm more interested in that from the perspective of why are we doing that as people and focus on these robots and the AI and everything than so much the technology? Because it is amazing that, I couldn't build that. I don't know how they're making it move in the way they're making it move, making things so human. And I've seen Boston Dynamics has robot displays where they can make a dang hand do what your hand does. It's crazy. But why are we doing that? We're just moving towards, combining that, a humanoid type robot, with the AI knowledge that, the all that open AI has. You will make a human eventually that's a superhuman, It'll be a robot that can move like a human, that's
a Terminator. Yeah,
and that's way smarter than everybody and way more capable. It's just crazy. I think the winner of the robot race did it in
that was going to be my question.
Maybe an hour and a half. So it, humans are faster. But
it won't take long, though.
yeah, I know.
Did
I don't
it get
know.
tired?
Huh? Did it get tired? Yeah, it was sweating.
Yeah, they need to shape those things up.
I don't know what the rules are though, because you can make it look like a human, and I'm too dumb to even understand what was happening, because you could just put wheels on it and do it really fast. But I guess they're making a robotic human. I mean, it moved like it stepped, so.
I saw one the other day. I saw an old video of one. They had it running off a 2-stroke engine. It sounded like a dirt bike. I ain't kidding you, man. Yeah, this thing could move, son.
Really?
Yeah, sure could. Yeah,
I bet.
I saw a video of one. Well, you know why? Why are humans doing it? I mean, that's just the nature of human. Is to continue to continue pushing toward what's viewed as progress.
Yeah.
With no consideration for repercussions. Like, that's just the nature of human. I don't know what in our nature drives us as a species to do that. But like,
something does.
Yes, there's something innate in I don't say all humans, but enough humans to keep them driving towards what is next. I'm to the point in my life where maybe I'm just an old dinosaur now, but like, I am intentionally rejecting new technology with the vehicles I drive, the watches that I wear, as much as I possibly can, and still maybe not as much as I possibly can, but and still function regularly in life.
Pretty crude weather station.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that is the more it engrosses the aspects of your life that are currently untouched by those new technologies, you absolutely cannot get away from it. Like, you can't totally reject them, because once systems are in place that implement a lot of this artificial intelligence and everything, there's no way you're going to get around it.
Well, yeah, it will get to that point. Yeah,
you're right. That's the crazy thing.
You're right.
They leave it leaves people with no choice.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, you've said it many, many times, Chili. I mean, the only solution for a person to like get away from all this crap is to buy a piece of land and become self-sustaining.
Yeah.
But there's so much that goes into that, and there's so much knowledge that's been lost around that, and like,
takes a lot of help.
And it's so much work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of help
Yeah.
from other people doing it too, really.
It's
if
so
you
much
want
work.
to really make it last and do it, and still take so much time.
Yeah, you ain't gonna do it with just you and your wife and a couple kids.
You almost want to do it for the future generations, not even for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that keeps a lot of people from doing exactly what we're saying. They're recognizing the need right now to, man, we should be more self-sufficient, and we should buy a piece of land and do that. But they go, but I'm 50 years old or even 20 years old. Like, how am I going to even have the time to do that? I don't have the help, and I'll die before I even get to see. It's like, you'd have to see. People need to if you really want that reality to come true, you have to think beyond yourself and say, I'm going to create that for my kids to then live on, because you probably won't get to really enjoy it.
You're right.
I mean, I think that's what keeps us from doing it, is we say, dang, I got a lot going on. I can't, it takes so long. I'd be 100 years old before I got to sit down and do it. So you asked it, your foundational question was, why does human keep doing, like, why do we keep pushing toward creating these new technologies and AI and humanoid robots and all this stuff, right? It made me think of something, man. We're like, okay, there's something innate in human that makes them want to keep driving forward toward the next technology. And it just made me think, when we read in Scripture, I think you can make a good argument that there is something innate in human that makes human want to be God or want to be like God, right?
I think that, foundationally, the first man and woman, that was really what led them to rebel against God in the Garden of Eden, is they wanted the knowledge that God possessed. Yeah. And then you also look at the other things like the Tower of Babel, and you look at all these technologies and stuff, and it's like we want to be like God, like we want to create something, a being. You know what I mean?
Do you think there's a connection with that to the use of the drugs in today's world? Because, I mean, a lot of the tech billionaires that take whatever these drugs are and say, I want to be enlightened.
Yeah.
And like they're seeking knowledge, but they're basically seeking the secrets of the universe that they're hoping maybe through a combination of those drugs and whatever, maybe even artificial intelligence, like you can kind of grab onto something that is exclusive to you, the secrets of the universe that other people don't have, that maybe you can obtain if you have enough money, if you have enough power, if you have enough special knowledge received from psychedelics or something. I don't know. I think that all goes together.
Yeah, I agree. It does.
I think there's a weird link between artificial intelligence and psychedelic drugs. We've talked about both things in the past, but I don't know that we've ever talked about them together.
What do you think the link is?
Well, all I'm saying is a lot of the people who are deep in that world and the minds behind developing the artificial intelligences that are so beyond my understanding, they're obsessed with psychedelic drugs.
Really?
I mean, like, that's a common theme. And I don't know. I mean, we've mentioned this, I think, in the past, but you could argue that how some of that technology is coming together is because of what they're receiving from that. I don't know. I think it goes hand in hand because they both kind of accomplish the same thing as well. It's
superhuman knowledge.
It's superhuman knowledge. It's like maybe I take this drug and I get something that I just can't get without it. And well, I go to, this artificial intelligence will have something beyond human capacity that I can get, I don't know. I think there's something to that though.
Yeah, I think there probably is too, man. It makes me wonder when we read the account of history in the Bible, I wonder often how far advanced the human race had gotten. Like, how much advancement had we gotten prior to the flood? Like, when the whole deal with the Nephilim and all this stuff was going on, and they were, they were men of renown, right? These beings who were visiting with man and actually even reproducing with human. How far advanced the civilization was prior to the flood. It makes me wonder that, man.
I think 3 or 4 times we've gotten essentially this advanced or like really well advanced, and it's been broken down every time up until now. I mean, I think it looked differently. I don't believe they had iPhones 6,000 years ago, but I think the technology by a different metric maybe was that advanced, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Egypt, when you think about Egypt,
exactly.
a lot of this comes up.
Yeah. I didn't think about the Tower of Babel. Like, what
exactly.
did that look like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
that had to require some serious engineering.
I don't think their culture and society look the same. Like that's the thing. You apply this level of knowledge, this level of technological advancement that we have to a different culture and people and place and time, they'll develop different things, and it will look different.
Yeah, you're right.
They won't have an iPhone, but they'll
have
got
something that we don't have.
Like they've got something that's way beyond what you think. I think I've always thought that. I think that's 3 or 4 times that's happened, and it's been lost.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I mean, we say it's been lost, but are
we building on some of that?
Well, are we building on some of that, and also God destroyed the earth in the flood because mankind had become so wicked, but part of their I'd say the major theme of their wickedness was the advancements that they had made in terms of had such a desire to be like God, right? Yeah. So he confused it at the Tower of Babel, shut their mess down, confused the whole world, stopped technology in its tracks. He reset it all at the flood. He if we want to look at the Egyptian culture as another advanced society, he stopped that when he pulled all of their entire force of slave labor, delivered them out of the land of Egypt. That whole empire fell. It's almost like he's stopped it, or he's reset it so many times, because I think simply just to accomplish his plan for humanity, and because he's long suffering with man, he knows and obviously has foreknown that if it doesn't get stopped at these certain points, man will eventually destroy himself. That's something that I've said so many times. It amazes me that human has not went extinct.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Especially when we've developed a way to do it and just sit on it.
Yeah.
Like, that's real crazy.
Yeah.
You would think that what would keep us from doing that is that we don't have the ability. We have the ability.
Yeah.
That is really when it's crazy that we haven't done it. When you think that we can.
It's a miracle. It's a testament to the plan of the Almighty that human hasn't went extinct. I mean, have you ever done any, listen to any podcast or any research about the Ark of the Covenant? That was a wild device.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing, when you read the biblical accounts of what they were able to do with the Ark of the Covenant, wild, man. You want to talk about technology,
yeah,
quote unquote, which we know the Almighty had. The Almighty was the power behind that device. But that's a wild thing, man, and nobody knows where it went. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Doesn't somebody claim to have it?
Yeah, a couple different people
I'm
have
sure.
made claims. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple groups and, stuff has claimed to have it, but
Right there in the Vatican.
Who was it
It's the
that
Pope Francis tomb.
who was it that died when they they was toting it on that
Yeah, and
wagon?
they
They shouldn't have been toting it that
yeah,
way. They had a
That's what I
rule
was
of
thinking
how it
of.
should be transported.
it went to fall and the guy reached out and touched it and
it.
killed
Grabbed
him
it.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like they destroyed whole armies with that thing. It could be wielded as a energy weapon.
Yeah, strange.
I mean, you would think somebody would have kept up with that thing.
You'd think so.
Because it had the original tablets of the Ten Commandments in it, I think. It had some of the manna in it. It had the rod of Aaron that budded in it.
Yeah, they ought to have been a custody
But it
log there.
when you research it, the closest thing that you could relate it to in today in our technology is a nuclear device that was emitting radiation. Because like when the Israelites would camp, they had to store the Ark of the Covenant like miles away from their camp, right? Yeah, that's what happens when you don't plug the light in, Bubba.
Continue, Bubba.
So, like a lot of the things that you read about it, it sounds like it was some sort of something that you could relate to a nuclear device that was capable of this massive amount of energy. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, which all the research on it is speculation, and it's simply trying to analyze and understand the biblical accounts of what the Israelites were able to do when they were in possession of this Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
Well, speaking of war and the potential for nuclear fighting, India has a nuclear weapon.
No, I didn't know that.
They do.
I like Indians.
Yeah, they do. You've done you could pass the army test in India.
Corn's 18% Indian.
Hey, I got to pee real quick.
18.75. Anyway, I wanted you to talk about this, news correspondent Corn. I know you've got local news, but sometimes you come over to help with international news, and India and Pakistan are going to war.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I didn't know that.
Oh, that's not good.
I didn't know that either.
No.
Like, they show enough firing it up.
Really?
That's not good.
No, it ain't.
India has a nuclear weapon, so, you well know the feud.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what caused it all,
but
I do know that they bad against each other.
You do know that young school children in Pakistan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Want to grow up and be pilots to destroy India.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, India and Pakistan are going to war?
Yeah. Pakistan has just claimed, breaking news, that it has credible intelligence India will strike within 36 hours. And when they do, it's on. So India and Pakistan have already been going back and forth with there's a ceasefire agreement, and Pakistan has been breaking it a little bit, crossing the line. Like, they're heating up big time. So very interesting. A lot of people thought that was much more stable than it appears to be now.
Yeah.
Chili, how many, do you know how many people are in the Indian army? Isn't it like, don't they have like a massive army?
Yeah, there's over 1 billion people in India, and
yeah, they're stacked in there like cordwood, man. Nasty, nasty as crap.
Are they?
You look at them down there on that Ganges River, son.
Burning incense.
Looking nasty, doo-dooing everywhere. Then they getting down there in that water, washing off in doo-doo water.
Looking for a gas station.
Wearing dots on their head. Nasty people, man.
India has the largest standing army in the world by far, with 1.2 million active personnel
my God.
with another million reserve personnel.
Good night.
I mean,
What's the U.S. got?
Massive. I don't know.
So
but
what are they fussing about?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, I know that.
Excuse my ignorance. Does India and Pakistan,
They border.
they share a border?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I believe it has something to do with the border, but I'm really talking out of ignorance here. All me and Corn know is a cursory understanding because we've watched the videos of these young Pakistani children say they want to blow up India. And we thought they were fun.
Wow.
We thought it was funny. But I don't really know what the feud is over. It's got to be land dispute, and India thinks it's their big brother, and Pakistan wants to reclaim territory. I think I don't really know. All I know is at that border, there's been back and forth involvement lately that's quickly escalating to the point that apparently India is going to strike and they're going to go to war if they do. So,
are we allied with both India and Pakistan?
The U.S. is not allied directly with India. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
So Pakistan is more, I believe they are allied with Iran and the like. Does that sound wrong, Corn? You're the dang international
You're
news
supposed to have
correspondent.
these answers, Corn.
No, I'm not too sure on the whole who's allied with who between India.
I'm trying to think about how if India and Pakistan goes to big war together, how that's going to affect me over here in the United States. Okay, are we about to? Would there be potential for us to send troops over there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a lot of crap is made in India.
A lot of it's made in Pakistan too.
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
A lot of stuff.
So yeah, that is definitely the case.
It says that U.S. India has a strategic partnership.
Yeah, we're not
founded
directly
on
allied with
shared
them.
values,
Exactly.
including a commitment to democracy and upholding the rules-based international.
I like India.
That's what I was trying to say. We don't have a
Just
direct,
dirty, aren't they?
Yeah, they're nasty.
a direct alliance with them. It's more of what that's code for is if they get in trouble, we're not obligated to go help them.
Yeah.
But we like them. You know, that's what that's code for. Pakistan, apparently, speaking of my ignorance, apparently they emerged from India in 1947.
Wow.
That was all India.
Okay.
And then they became an independent nation state and member of the UN following 1947. And
it says that Pakistan has been designated a major non-NATO ally.
yeah. So this is
major non-NATO.
So this is a Russia-Ukraine situation, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you could draw a lot of parallels.
Right. Yeah.
To that situation. Yeah, but that's just a big deal. I mean, anytime a nuclear power is getting ready to go to war, that's, you know.
Yeah, that's a real big deal.
You've got Russia, obviously a nuclear power, they're actively been at war with Ukraine. Now you're going to have India and Pakistan, China and Taiwan any minute.
Yeah.
So it's a big, big deal.
I got a question for Paris James. Paris James, are we nearing the end of the age? Thumbs up.
Oh, wow.
Just single thumb.
There's double thumb. Paris
Whoa.
James says that we are nearing the end of the age. And so, you know, these wars and rumors of wars, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Left and right.
You talking about, look, man, you talking about big players going to war, country on. Look, man, this ain't like the war we've been used to fighting over the last 20 years against these little terrorist networks. You're talking about country going against country. Like this is a different type of war.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Big. That's big. Dang, chill.
Yeah, that's anyway. Local
Appreciate you
news.
bringing that news to us today, man.
Yeah.
I need to stay up to date on that.
It's kind of hard to follow that news, bub. So this
DNR.
Yeah, I'll tell you who can follow it.
this story just come out today as well. 5 arrested in Walker County after
I know about Walker County.
on Highway 151 after a couple and their realtor flagged down the animal control to tell them about this house they just looked at. They just went to look at this house to buy. And inside this house was a dead ferret, a dead rabbit, and 2 dead goats outside. They went in to look at the house. The floors was covered in urine, feces caked up around in the different rooms. So
Indians.
the Walker County Sheriff's Office got a search warrant and went over there and hit the house and found those exact same things, all these animals living in these deplorable conditions. They confiscated 9 dogs, 4 cats, 2 horses, 2 goats, 2 donkeys, a sheep, and a pony were rescued from the home.
Listen, what is wrong with these people who can't take care of themselves and they take on all these animals?
All 5 people were charged with 13 counts of animal cruelty apiece.
It's a sickness. It's a mind sickness, man.
But they can't take care of themselves or their kids, and then these same people have multiple animals, different types, and multiple of each type.
Look, these people are inbred. Look, these people in Walker and Chattooga County are inbred. They're legitimately inbred. I mean, dude, go on up there.
Got fish lips.
I guess they say if you got inverted nipples.
You fish-lipped inbred. Quit owning dogs.
No, I mean, they're legit inbred.
I guess you say if you're gonna live like an animal, let's have some animals.
The house that was
Because that's what people are living like.
the house that was valued at $275,000 has now been condemned by Walker County.
$275,000 for a house in Walker County.
It may have had a bunch of land with it too.
Good night, man. Well,
Dogs
it's
peeing
condemned
and
now.
crapping in the floor.
well, them people that they locked up, they ought to take them out in wherever downtown Walker County is, and they ought to cane the crap out of them. If you're
Back to that.
if you are gonna abuse an animal, I will come down there and cane you personally. Okay? Personally. Ain't tolerating it. You gonna abuse an animal? Nah. Starve an animal to death. You know, all that stuff. You know, a pet. Nah.
Chad would rather, he gets madder at that than a human abuse.
Yeah.
He said, I'll let you hit on your kid or something.
I like Brooke. Brooke posted something on her story the other day, and she said something about like alligators ain't as bad as humans because they just want to come and kill you and eat you. But a lot of humans will try to be your friend first.
Oh yes. What? Who? The crocodile hunter.
Yep.
Said that. Yeah.
Steve Irwin?
Yeah.
He used to say it.
Used to.
Well, that was a good show today, boys.
Got super chat.
Oh, yeah.
Got
Don't
super
forget
chats
Robert
today.
E. Lee.
All right. Outstanding. A lot of good stuff covered.
I didn't mean to take that from you there.
It's all right, Bubba.
A lot of good stuff covered on the show today for sure. Thank you, Paris James.
All right. First, we got Marty Bingham here.
Big man Marty.
$4.99. I just watched Chad's new documentary. It's really good. You can't help but love the guy. Come back in at $4.99.
Marty, well, hold on. What has happened to you, Marty? Since when did you decide to say something friendly about me, you old daggone geezer? Walking around in your overalls, geezing up everything, sloughing off your old skin on everybody,
Geezing
bleeding
up.
all over the place. You gonna come in here and say something nice about me? I don't appreciate that, Bubba. Come in here and give $5 and say something nice about me. You can go on somewhere with that, Marty Bingham.
He come back in at $4.99.
I bet he did.
Said it's called Hollywood Seal Runs a Little Bit or something like that. You'll have to Google it.
All right, that's more like the Marty I know.
Then
I was getting confused there for a minute.
He come back in at $9.99. Said the next one is going to be called Goat Man Gets Lost on a Kayak. Stay tuned.
The Goat Man. I've got a book about the OG Goat Man up in Somerville. Got a whole book about him. Hadn't read it yet. But.
There's a goat man in Somerville?
Yeah, you heard of him, Corn?
Oh, yeah. He used to travel all over Northwest Georgia.
Yeah.
Local legend.
You ever heard of goats on a roof?
Is that
Yeah.
what did they call him the Goat Man? Is that what
To
they
the
call
best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
We had Mark Porter. Y'all remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come in at $99.99.
Good night. Whoa.
He said Lauren is leaving the roost today to start working in Alaska. At dinner last night, she brought up the ROP course as being something that has prepared her. I spent 18 years training her, and she brings up a 24-hour time in her life. I'm grateful for you guys.
Praise the Lord. Yeah, she's a strong woman, man. She'll do well. She will do well.
We had Travis Van S coming at $9.99.
Travis.
The turkey portals were thick this past weekend, but always fun hunting with my son. Being out in the woods and praying is a way I regulate stress.
Yep.
Well, Travis, you're going to up your turkey hunting game, man. I'm sick of seeing you be failing on these turkeys. Go kill a dang turkey. Gosh, dog, man.
Y'all remember Alec Tincher?
The turkey got the brain the
Yeah.
size of a walnut. If you can't kill a turkey, that's telling you something about yourself. Got a brain the size of a walnut. You can't even kill a turkey. Got a pea brain. Anybody can't kill a turkey, got a pea brain.
Y'all remember Alec Tincher?
Yes.
He come in at $199.99.
Good night!
Son.
No message.
I'll blow your head off right there on that one, son. You just blowed my head off on that.
Thank you, Alec.
Good grief.
Gosh.
What in the world?
Almighty.
Jeez.
I'm going to take a moment of silence.
All right.
Glades Dan coming at $19.99. Listen,
That Glades, that sure does seem piddly after that $99.99. Piddly come in, $20 super chat.
listening to this podcast relieves stress for me. This is for the tech guy. Keep holding it down, Parrish.
Dang!
Shoot.
So he gave that super chat for Paris James?
Yeah.
God.
Oh my gosh. You know he's gonna dun you for it at
Well,
the end
YouTube takes a cut, then we got to take a cut. There ain't much left after that.
All right. I don't have him pay his taxes.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, brother.
Millstone Rescue and Relief come in at $50.
Whoa, man, big super chats today. Thank you guys.
Finally caught a live podcast. It's been a minute. Hope y'all are doing great. Love y'all. Tom Russell.
Oh, heck
Tom.
yeah. Thank you, Tom.
brother.
Thank you, Tom.
TJ McLaughlin come in at $19.99. Patient, present, deliberate, 3 critical skills to learn, and I continue to try to perfect since my ROP journey. Present is tough at times. Congrats to Mark ROP 002 for completing the Boston Marathon recently.
Oh, cool.
Heck yeah, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you, brother.
We had Millstone Rescue and Relief come back in at $20.
Good night.
This is to buy your pops a cup of coffee. Y'all are probably working his fingers to the bone running this show. I love y'all.
How is everybody trying to give money to Paris James? He's the laziest one in here.
Well, he's up to $375 after his cut.
You know, everybody loves Dad, though.
They really do. I mean, that's his gift.
Yeah.
Good night.
That's it. That's the end.
Enjoyed the show today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I can't believe we didn't have more comments about our talk about women. I guess everybody agreed with us. Yeah. Paris James did deem it as correct. Enough said.